The book of Joel, chapter 3, starting at verse 9, and it reads, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come down. Let them come up. Verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to Kol Haloyim La Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Hashem HaKadosh. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles that taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so. Now more so than ever, I say shalom to the Akim and the Akwat out there listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth to you. I say shalom. It's the brother Yahweh coming at you another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai. This lesson is inspired through the Spirit with an article. This lesson is inspired by the Spirit based on an article that I came across on my news break app, and it goes into pretty much the heathen standing up, against Esau. We in a time where it's war on the earth. You got individuals talking about, the Most High might not come for another 1,000 years. And I understand his mindset, but at the same time, the scriptures talk about hastening the day. Only a person that's really having a way, or kind of, and I'm speaking as a man because I don't know his situation, but again, brothers know. Brothers be calling certain stuff out, speaking on certain stuff. Like the elder said, a nigga got a certain kind of look. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the thing is, I label myself a nigga because, I have done nigga shit and like at the end of the day, like, so I'm not trying to judge, but what I'm saying is I'm no longer trying to be a nigga. The scriptures talk about when you basically be given this glorious light, you become a new creature. Old habits go away. You roughly paraphrase, you're supposed to become a new man. Now the thing is, the Lord is certain things that the Lord created you. So it's certain things that He's gonna add to, and certain things He's gonna take away from. But if it's anything hindering to this truth, you should look at it like you should 86 it. You know what I mean? And it just showing you how, this is gonna be a hell of a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, real talk. So I'm gonna read probably the title because as of lately the Spirit been on me where I don't really read the article. Try to get in and get out, get it done, get her done quick, right? But at the same time, it's like the lesson still go 30 minutes or whatever. I may read a little bit of it, but so this is out of the New York Post, and it reads, Houthis fired surface-to-air missiles at U.S. fighter jets in first attack of its kind. And them Houthis out here giving them and at the U.S. though, so they also, I don't give a fuck type shit. Scriptures talk about Ishmael being a wild man as well. Where's that at? Hold on, bear with me for a second. This is the book of Genesis chapter 16, point is verse 12, but I'm going to start at verse 6. But Abram said unto Sarai, behold, thy maid is in thy hand, do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. So this goes into the account of pretty much Abraham and Hagar. You know, because pretty much Hagar was this maid servant to Sarai, or Sarah, and pretty much, you know, show you how the Spirit worked. The Lord put the Spirit on Sarai to allow her to tell Hagar to pretty much go in, or let Abraham go into her, so he could pretty much have more children. You know, because basically, when a maid servant had children, the woman who was the wife of that man, pretty much those children were like hers. So she had her go and have a child with her, and then pretty much, you know, got angry with her or jealous, and pretty much, you know, put her out into the wilderness, you know. Or basically not put her out into the wilderness, she was dealing with her harshly. And pretty much that's what made Hagar flee. But it's all ultimately to lead up, you know, the Lord does different things for different reasons, you know what I mean? Again, I remember me and a brother, you know, Spirit jumped on us because we was reading in the Old Testament about the different kings, and we realized how many more wicked kings than it was righteous, and all for a purpose for us to fall away. So we ultimately come back, you know, through Yahushua Hamashiach, called Jesus Christ, who is the ultimate righteous king. It says, verse 7, the angel of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. Verse 8, and he said, Hagar, Sarai's mind, Salakia. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence camest thou, and whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, return to thy mistress and submit thyself under her hands. Verse 10, and the angel of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. Verse 11, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua have heard thy afflictions. Verse 12, and he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. You know, and it's funny because, you know, they pretty much, you know, Ishmael's at war with those Israelis, you know, those people that's calling themselves Jews but are not the Jews, you know, but are of Esau. Yeah, pretty much they are, and then now they shoot that Babylon the Great, you know. So that's a hell of a statement, you know what I mean? And then you got people talking about 1,000 years, or, you know, man, yeah, like, I guess if they was catching more hell, Lord, they'd probably be begging for your return. But what they don't understand is that Lord set you up for straight failure. Houthis fired surface-to-air missile at U.S. fighter jets in first attack of its kind. Yemen's Houthi rebels fired surface-to-air missiles at a U.S. fighter jet over the Red Sea in the first attack of its kind. U.S. military officials are describing the launch as a significant escalation in the Iran's-backed group ongoing conflict with Israel's allies in the war with Gaza. That's the spirit, because pretty much they against anybody that's an ally to Israel, you know, and that's some street nigga shit. Like, nigga, yeah, I got beef with them, so I got beef with anybody that fuck with them. But there's something about my people used to always say. You say you can't beef and make money. You know, shit. Ultimately, the bankers, they make money on both sides anyway. You know, they like the blood being running in the streets because that's like a sacrifice. It says Americans beat 52 heavy bombers. The missiles fired at the airplane. Salaki, the missiles fired at the American warplane did not hit its target. So, but the whole point of it is, you know, that's a bold move because, like I said, these nations that are considered weak, you know, literally are, the Lord put the spirit on them to pretty much stand up to this devil Esau Edom, you know. that happened? I just had Jeremiah chapter. It's the book of Jeremiah chapter 50. Maybe it was Jeremiah 49. So I wanted to get the hammer of the whole earth. Bear with me for a second. It's the book of Jeremiah chapter 50. Start at verse 22 and it reads, a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. Verse 23, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Because this place is looking weak amongst the other nations, you know what I mean? You know, the LGBTQ, you know, being the fighting force, you know what I mean? Which, you know, Trump is set up to bring back that ancient spirit of that Edomite, where, you know what I mean, like where, you know, that rugged, rough, tough Edomite spirit, which, you know, at the end of the day, no matter what they do, it's not going to work. You know, it's pretty much set up, you know, the scriptures say that what they got set up is not going to come to pass. Verse 24, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, which is another name for America. And thou was not aware, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. You know, what is the mindset of these individuals in power? Noah Huvel Harari. We don't need to follow the Most High God. You know what I mean? They think their technology has surpassed the Most High God, which show you how cold the Lord is, because without the Lord, they wouldn't even have their technology. You know, devils like him is going to have a special judgment. The book of Luke chapter 21 and verse start at verse 8, and it reads, and he said, take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them. You know, like the elder was just saying recently, you know, it's a lot of stumbling blocks out there, you know, because you're going to be constantly tested all the way to the end. You know, you got to, it's one of them situations where you got to constantly be constantly striving. You got to constantly making sure you're on point. You know, you got to be making sure constantly that, you know, examining thyself, roughly paraphrase. It says, verse 9, but when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. You know, and we're hearing of wars and commotions and rumors of wars. You're hearing about, you know, Russia and Ukraine. You're hearing about America pretty much bumping heads with a lot of countries, you know, because like the elder was just saying, you know, this Babylon the Great, especially with that prideful spirit of Trump, like the elder just said, like, I mean, talk about, like, the elder just said it like a week ago, and they talk about Kim Jong-un said he was going to shoot a missile on this bitch. But, you know, they know that little dude got something, like, I ain't gonna say nothing wrong with him. He just demand respect. You know what I mean? I bet you Trump ain't gonna do that to him. You know what I mean? Like he on the bullshit. You know? I was laughing because you didn't show up pictures of him and Putin, and they kicking it and shit. And I'm like, it remind you of some nigga shit. Not saying neither one of them niggas, you know, or Jake, but you know, you got to remember it was Jake's in Russia at one point in time. You know, I'm sure it's Jake's in Russia now. You know, and I worked with a Russian woman, and like when the elders say, like the one beloved elder always talks about broadening your horizons and dealing with these other nation women. Like I've tried to, you know, I talked to a Filipino chick. I worked with a Russian chick, and she loved black dudes, but you know, she was 52. Her hair came all the way down to her ass. So I was thinking like, damn, you had to be bad back in the day. And she was like a Russian mail order bride type of thing. You know, dude brought her over here, and then she had a son with him. You know, but she was always be like, yeah. She like, you know, American, not like Russian boy. She just say that like that because they a lot harder. And you know, when you take the time to think about it, it's like the Game of Thrones. You know, they be in that code. You know what I mean? Like the one dude that was the UFC champ. I can't even pronounce his name, but the one that beat Conor McGregor, beat the shit out of Conor McGregor. You know, them motherfuckers wrestling bears and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta think about that for a minute. Like. Ain't regular shit. So they ain't just talking that. Verse 10, it says, then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Verse 11, and great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines and pestilence, and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. You know, that's deep because you think about last year when you had the chariots reveal themselves. Just out the blue, boom. And, you know, all the shit going on in this, you know how smooth it is, but that's really got to be a psyop or witchcraft because you got to think about it. This nigga said, I'm going to do this. And a lot of stuff he didn't do, but yet and still, nobody speaks on that shit. Just like I still have yet an Edomite to explain or come with a rebuttal to the fact. I say, well, damn, think about it. Pretty much the borders was open. You had asylum here. So all these migrants came because, you know, life in other countries is fucked up. You know, they allowed a lot of Haitians to come here because of what was going on in Haiti. You know, with that whole rebellion that basically was going on. They was talking about they was eating flesh, eating people. That's why right now, but to show you, never trust thine enemy, like pretty much, it's like 500,000 Haitians here, and they talking about deporting them. But they came over here to seek asylum from what was going on, the genocide. Well, it's not genocide, it was like a civil war. So how are these, you know, to show you how the devil want to point at something else instead of pointing at himself. What is that saying? When you point at one person, 4 fingers point back? This devil want to make it seem like everything and everybody is the problem on earth except for him. But, you know, again, we're in the time of revelation, so the Lord is going to eventually reveal it. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5, because, you know, right now, you know, they shot a missile. They pretty much missed, you know, the big bad America, you know, looking at the puny Houthis. But that's significant because, like I said, that was the first attack of its kind because they never was as bold to do that. And that's how you know you know these nations are getting roused up. You know, for basically the ultimate war, that World War III, which will pretty much end up in the Valley of Yehoshaphat. You know, modern day warfare, although, you know, you still got boots on the ground, but come on, they to the point they using drones. You know, that's how sophisticated Babylon the Great is. You got a dude that don't never get in the actual airplane. He go to a building and sit at a desk and fly a drone. You know, I was watching a video, I forgot who put it up, but pretty much Jake had it where Jake was showing how, like, in these other countries, like, it was fire going on in the building, they use drones to put the fire out. You know, I got a book that I got like years ago. I never even opened the book up, but it's so amazing because a lot of the books I had got, I gave one book to the brother, but well, a lot of the books I had got at that time, I'm watching them come to fruition now, because it's all about how pretty much it's called an army of none, and pretty much it's talking about how, you know, they plan it, you know, it's pretty much artificial intelligence is going to run all, you know, everything. Like Skynet, ain't that about a bitch? The Lord Code, you know what I mean? And then it show you in that movie how Skynet pretty much took over everything. You know, I remember the brother put up the video with showing you how it was that Jake woman that came up with, I think her name was Sophia. Came up with the, basically you thinking all that time it was an Edomite that came up with the Terminator and Matrix, but it was a Jake. Jake is the former of all things. And that's all part of the same universe. And when you take time to think about it, I'm like, damn, that make a lot of sense. I don't know why, you know, in Terminator, John Connor stood for, supposed to be Jesus Christ, but in the Matrix, his name was Mr. Anderson. So I don't know how they did that, but point being, because it's supposed to be the same character, John Connor and Neo are supposed to be the same person. But anyhow, not to digress, it just show you how cold the Lord is. So if the Lord had all this systematically set up, why doesn't he have your downfall set up as well? This is the book of Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5, and it reads, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire." You know, so the ancient warfare took place on the field. You know, you got to get up close and personal. Like, what was that the Joker said? He said, you know why I use knives? He says, because guns are too easy. You know, he said he want to be in your face, looking you in the eyes while he doing that shit. So those men were built different. You know, you got right now, you got men that are squeamish towards blood. You know, I've seen women faint off they saw blood. But this generation, it's become so weak and soft. Like I said again, pretty much Salakia, pretty much these people ain't gonna be ready for, I'm doing 2 or 3 different things, so Salakia. These people is not gonna be ready for what's about to take place. You know, the scriptures talk about the wrath of the Lord, you know, a burning wrath for all the abominations and the wickedness, like a smoke in his nostrils. And this place is a huge sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord gonna really do damage to this whore. You know what I'm saying? You know, so all these different things are, you know, pretty much just stirring up that spirit of, you know, the third world war, the third woe, for ultimately our big brother, our Lord and Savior, to come back, who you people even call Jesus Christ, but whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Yahushai Mashiach. Yahweh meaning he is, he exists, or he to be. Ba'ashem, Ba'as in, Haz, thus Shem his name. Yahushai meaning he saves, or he deliver. True names of the Most High God and His Son, who you people ignorantly call God and Jesus Christ, but whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 19. And verse 11, and it reads, "And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war." You know. So Yahushua Mashiach is coming back to make war against these other nations. His eyes were as a flame of fire, Genesis chapter 49, and on his eyes was red with wine, and on his head were many crowns. So his eyes is going to be red from his anger, the indignation of his wrath. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head, were many crowns, because he's pretty much gonna take the rulerships of it. He's gonna take all the kingdoms down on of the world, because ultimately the world is like Scarface said, the world is yours, because he ruleth in the kingdom of man, and these people gonna actually recognize that. You ain't gonna be able to deny that in that day. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. Verse 13, and he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. The scriptures talk about the blood reaching to the horse's bridle. You know how tall a horse is? Some Jake ain't even seen a horse. That's how fucked up our lives have been. You got Jake that experienced a lot of stuff. You got Jake that pretty much been in the military, been around the world. You got Jake, but you got some Jakes that ain't never been out the city. You know how miserable of a life we have, again, show you how, like, I grew up, to show you how, like, really niggas is just, and like I said, that ain't no special case, because a lot of Jake grew up like that, but at the same time, it's like, when you take back and really think about it, how they got us like in a hamster's wheel, or, like a mice's maze, our whole sole existence was to hustle up enough money to pretty much get a car so you could get some attention and fame throughout the city. His eyes was a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with it. He was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of the Most High. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, and clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, which goes into, that laser beam, that concentrated fire, which is going to ultimately melt you 2/3 niggas and you fucking heathens. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, and that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of the almighty power. So the Lord coming with great judgment. It's not going to be a day of kumbaya and rainbows in the air. Yesterday, because the hot topic right now is that silly ass statement that the individual made. Well, the thing is this, I understand why people get offended, because like literally, if you really is a servant of the Lord, you know the message of the Lord. So you actually on a platform that actually give recognition to this truth, and you talk about you say some bogus ass shit like that. With that mindset of what he just said, that'll make a person go, well, I got 1,000 years. Well, let's shit. I could build that business I was trying. I remember the brothers and me, we were trying to start a business. The Lord started shutting shit down. You know what I mean? And the one brother saw it off immediately. So he wasn't trying to invest nothing. I was going to do it because, in my mind, I'm like, well, I can try to start this little shit and start like a little business delivering shit. And that way, I got an income going. And you know what I mean? But, the Lord shut that shit down. So, again, I wouldn't even attempt to invest in it. Although it's still money in certain stuff, this man truly is changing everything. You got to remember, the trucking industry has dramatically changed. I remember the elder said that, the elder from Chicago. He said he got a family member that was into trucking, but pretty much it slowed down. So he pretty much got into like food or something. It wasn't that big of an investment. Brother kept on telling me, oh, don't put all your money in that. I spent like $200. Like that wasn't really shit. Then you always could change the name of the business. You could always change the business. That's the beautiful thing. That's what, but brother was putting me on to like Starbucks. Starbucks has nothing to do with coffee. When you do something like that, name the business something where, it ain't linked to a specific thing. You pretty much can sell or do whatever you want, because you ain't just said like it's a trucking business or it's a suitcase business or anything like that. it's broad. So I'm gonna end the lesson there because a point has been made. War is in the earth, war is in the air, and war is coming to war is going to affect you regardless. So war is coming somewhere close and nearby you. So if you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo-Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to called Loyim La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem HaKodash, that were honors to the elders and to the apostles. Tell me it's true. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aquat out there listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, for whom subscribe to the truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time, Lord willingly. Shalom, shalom. I say Kwam Yasharallah, Muwath Lababal.